Welcome to Pearsall Podcast. I'm Mike.
And this is Orlando, and it's time for another Monday minisode.
Yeah.
And, we got a lot of requests in the DMs and through other platforms about talking about retail arbitrage. Now, we will probably do a whole episode about retail arbitrage in Q4 and all that, which I think, didn't we already do one?
Yeah. Again, some things change. We get more experience, right? So even if we did something a few years ago, even if there haven't been major changes in the reselling world, as it were, there's still going to be things we've learned and experienced that have grown us as resellers, and we want to share those things, those new tips and ideas with you, and maybe things that other resellers have taught us. But today we're talking specifically about things that you should avoid, or mistakes to avoid when you're maybe first getting into retail arbitrage, or maybe you've been doing retail arbitrage for a while and you don't realize you're making one of these mistakes. And retail arbitrage is a little bit different of a game than your typical, going to a garage sale or a thrift store. Now, again, the basic principle is the same: buy low, sell high. However, the way it happens, the platforms you're going to be selling on, the things you need to be thinking about, there's things that are going to be different. So we're going to be talking about the 5 biggest mistakes that people make when they're trying to do some retail arbitrage in order to make money, whether it's Amazon, eBay, OfferUp. There's multiple platforms, tends to be Amazon, but these are the 5 mistakes.
And we'll talk about that. Like, why do you say that? Why do you say it tends to be Amazon? So we'll talk about that in a moment. All right. So this is one that I'm telling you, will save you thousands if you do it. And if you don't do it, will cost you thousands. I'm 100% a big believer in getting a seller's permit. Now, you might say, well, then the government's going to track me and the government's going to have me pay sales tax. But remember, pretty much all platforms now are collecting sales tax. So you don't have to worry about that. Amazon collects sales tax. eBay collects sales tax. Poshmark, I believe, does. I know Etsy does. They all do. So reason why a seller's permit. So here in California, right, there's a lot of stores like the off-price stores like Marshall's, TJ Maxx, Burlington. They all allow me to pay and buy stuff without having to pay the sales tax at the register. Because the understanding is that the buyer, when they buy it from me later on, they're going to be paying the sales tax via eBay, via Amazon, whatever platform it is. But if you think about it, let's say you're going heavy and you're dropping $1,000 in items, right? And let's say your sales tax is, let's throw 10%. That's $100 of less capital that you have if you don't have that seller's permit.
Yeah. And you could potentially, again, it starts to get really risky, and we don't give specific tax advice, but you could potentially, if you paid the sales tax up front and then kind of got double dipped, because then eBay also charged sales tax, and so it kind of got hit twice, you could then write off the original sales tax that you paid at the store.
Which I've done before.
Yeah, so you can do that. However, again, money today is worth more than money tomorrow.
100%. Right? That's what I was going to say.
Yeah, so it's better to have the money today. Plus, that's a good point with those retail arbitrage places. And then there's other times and opportunities where you're going to need a seller's permit in order to be considered it's almost like you're your own retailer, right? And you can get special bulk discounts through different websites, different things. So if you're doing retail arbitrage, or if you're wanting to maybe branch out and get into some other things, that seller's permit is going to be very beneficial. So you might as well get it. It's super easy. I mean, it's going to depend on what state you're in, but you're going to send in a couple of forms, you're going to fill out a couple of things and wait a little bit, and then you've got it in the mail. So it's definitely worth doing. All right. So our next one comes from not understanding the differences of selling on different platforms. So when I first started reselling, and for the most part, I plan to only stay on eBay and OfferUp, Facebook Marketplace. I don't really plan to go to Amazon. I may or may not. I don't know. But what I realized quickly is the things that we're selling on eBay Q4 were different than the things that we're selling on Amazon. For instance, Orlando would sometimes be nice enough to share a specific Bellow, or maybe I would find something that was like, wow, this is selling really good on Amazon. I'm not really planning on selling on Amazon. Let me try eBay. And you look, and the sales velocity is not the same. Now, the same could be true for other things. There are certain types of things that you can do retail arbitrage on and do really well on Facebook Marketplace, on OfferUp local deals, or even on eBay, that maybe the velocity isn't there for Amazon. Maybe people want stuff quicker. They're willing to do same day stuff, but they're not willing to spend a ton more money on Amazon. So it really depends. You're going to want to know the different platforms to try. I would say probably 90% of the stuff that you're going to be doing retail arbitrage on is going to do much better on Amazon FBA or Amazon Fulfilled by Merchant. However, there's some things where you kind of can't send in, right? Like certain shoes, you're going to Nike outlets or something like that. They cut the tops off. You're kind of forced to go to a different selling platform. And so you got to recognize the velocity is going to be slower on different platforms, or maybe different items are going to sell better. So you're going to have to test your market and know what's going to be best. Certain things are going to do really well, Facebook Marketplace or OfferUp if it's local deals, especially as it gets closer to Christmas. People want something today. Shipping's taking 2 weeks, but Amazon is going to be probably the monolith, the big one for retail arbitrage.
Yeah, this can really cost you if you're not careful. And so I love how Mike said that, I would share with him something and then he'd list it on eBay and it just wouldn't move. And I've experienced it myself. And I've shared this before on the podcast where last year I had a hot toy and I decided to put them on both platforms. I put it on Amazon and I put it on eBay, and I didn't sell one on eBay, but I sold hundreds on Amazon. And I would sell them within the hour. So you have to really understand. Don't go out there, and you'll watch somebody on social media on YouTube and they're like, oh, this is a hot toy, go get it. And you haven't done Amazon and you're like, I'm gonna go buy a ton. These probably will sell on eBay because it's on Amazon. You got to be careful. Now, some do, but my experience has been that you're way better off, especially when it comes to toys or in Q4, to sell those on Amazon, where, there's some clothing that actually do better on eBay because people aren't thinking clothing for Amazon. They're thinking more on eBay. And so some retail arbitrage items will sell better if they're clothing on eBay. All right. This one we've shared a lot, and I just don't want to belabor the point too much, but if you're only buying what's on sale or on clearance for a retail arbitrage, you're probably missing out on a lot of profit for two reasons. One is you're dealing with a flooded market if it's something that's on sale or that's on clearance. So, for example, one of the biggest sales that Target does prior to Q4 is the buy $100 of toys and get $25, right? Spend $75, get whatever it is, right? So you get a discount. So usually it's like board games or it's this kind of toy. And so everybody at Target is buying those exact same things, right? They're buying the same board games. They're buying the same toys. Now, if they're hot items, doesn't matter, right? You're still going to make profit. But there's a lot of full priced items that may be at Target or at Walmart or whatever store there is, and you're missing out on those profits. And you sometimes, I would say this last year, not even this last year, the last 3 years, my best sailing is, man, I am fumbling words.
You've been doing some sailing?
I've been doing some sailing, not garage sailing, retail arbitrage. So my best items have never been on clearance, have never been on sale. They've been full price items that I've been able to sell for 3X, 5X, sometimes even 10X. And so definitely don't limit yourself to just on sale or clearance items when you're doing retail arbitrage.
All right, that's awesome. All right, the next one of the things with retail arbitrage, it's often the velocity of the sales. When you're selling things on eBay throughout the year, you buy something for $4, you sell it for $50, you sell it for $100, right? We're talking huge profit margins. When you're selling things retail arbitrage, you may get lucky to find those items, but sometimes you're fine. You might feel like, hey, I'm only making $1 to $5 per one of these that sells, but I'm selling 100 of them a day, right? But if you're only making $1 or a couple dollars on an item, even if they're selling quickly and it costs you $50 to get the item, not only is it taking a lot of capital up front, but the other thing that ends up happening is all it takes is one return. One return or one issue that goes wrong, and you just wiped out the profit on 50 sales, right? So that can happen with a lot of things. You buy something for $100, it's selling for $120. You're like, wow, this is really good margin. But all it takes is one of those to go down, and then 4 of your sales is basically just out the window. It's just a wash. And you're tying up a lot of capital. So if there's a very small net profit, if there's that margin is really small, even if velocity is high, the potential for losing money is higher because all it takes is 1 or 2 of those to go bad, and it wipes out a lot of sales profit. So the smaller that margin is, again, velocity might make it worth it, right? If you're paying $25 an item and you're only making $1 per sale, but you're selling hundreds of them pretty quickly, then maybe you can handle 1 or 2 of them going down. But again, if it's basically one bad return and it wipes out a lot of your sales, might not be worth it.
And that's where Amazon really matters as far as their ranking, right? The lower the ranking, the greater the risk you can take, right? So if something, during Q4 that has a ranking of under 1,000, that item's going to sell within the hour during the heat of Q4, right? So if you're only making, $5, but you can sell 20 of them in an hour, it's worth it, right? But if it's a high ranking item and it's like, 500,000 during if something is above 100,000 in Q4, it may sell, but it's not going to sell as fast as you want it to. And so you may end up going, yeah, I could sell 100 of these and make 5 each, but if the ranking isn't low, it's not worth it, right? And so I'm always a big fan, and this is just an addition to this, is I use the 3X rule. I won't pick up anything for Q4 that I can't sell for 3 times of what I'm buying it for, right? Because you gotta give yourself some room. On Amazon, at any time, Amazon themselves could list the item and completely drop the price. Other sellers can get on there and drop the price. You just don't know. So you gotta give yourself that room of net profit, because the less the net profit you have, the greater the risk, and you can end up losing really bad if you're not careful. All right, and then this is the one that we get a lot of controversy for.
Yeah.
Do you want to start this one?
Sure.
You take the heat.
Yeah. So we post a lot on social media, what we find at garage sales, what we find at thrift stores, because we know we're not killing a market, right? We're sharing information, and maybe we might hurt a little bit of the market in a sense if, we're in a really special niche. But if you're going to the store and you're scanning items, you've scanned 100 items and you found like, hey, here's like an artificial sweetener that sells for a ton of money, and nobody's thinking about selling this item on Amazon, but cooking's coming and this is an ingredient people must want, and so it's selling for a bunch of money. I'm going to take a picture and put it on social media and say, look what I'm going to make $5,000 off of this, box of artificial sweeteners that I bought at all these Targets. And then next thing you know, you're like, wait a minute, there's 10 more people on this listing. Wait, there's 100 people on this listing. Wow, the price is really tanking. You did that yourself, right? So you've got to be careful with what you're showing on social media, and that the same is true with what you're following on social media. So if somebody shows you the hot Bellow to buy for Amazon, chances are that's going to
they already sold it.
It's going to be, they've already sold, and it's going to be a very competitive market to get into. If everybody's doing it, it's the money is not going to be there. So if you're doing the research, you're spending the time, keep it quiet. And if you want to document your successes and your wins, that's great. Wait until the end of Q4, wait until things settle out. And maybe if it's not something like, hey, this will work again next year, but it was just a fluke thing, maybe share Orlando's thing with the Clippers, right? Mm-hmm. During the incident that happened last year, and it was hard to get Clippers. We're not anticipating that it's going to be like that anytime soon, that Clippers are this special buy. Now, maybe if there's more lockdowns, people will say hey, go buy Clippers. But again, be careful with what you're sharing on social media.
Yeah, and I give you an example. I mean, we have 25,000 followers on Instagram, right? If only 1% went out and bought whatever I had posted on social media, that's 250 people. That's huge. Most Amazon listings don't even have more than 50, right? So there was an item last year, I remember, that had 150, and that was a lot of people, right? So you got to be careful. Yeah, you're right. Usually when people post on social media, especially the big influencers, they've already sold through that item, right? They're not worried about losing profits, right? I usually find that it's new sellers that get really excited, which is fine. I understand the excitement, and then they post it, right, as a flex. Sometimes people are chasing clout, whatever it is, and then it just kills the market. Right. So imagine if anybody that even has 1,000 followers were to do that, it would kill the market. Even 100, you get 10 more. You get 10% of those people, kill the market. We had one year, Monopoly for Millennials was a big deal. And all it took was one YouTube video to completely kill the market within days. Okay. So just be careful. Posting your retail arbitrage finds on social media is probably not the way to go. So hopefully this found, a good place for you to think about things. 5 mistakes to avoid when doing retail arbitrage. And with that being said, make sure to be real,
be relevant,
and be reselling late.
Peace.